Good morning, RICOH people. Welcome to another video. We are here in London today. We have a special challenge for you guys. Maybe you can explain what we are going to do.
I think the idea is we're going to see if we can, in one day, we're going to see if we can walk around, get shots, and at least have one shot that we're happy enough to print nice and big and we'd be happy to put on our wall at home. I think that's the idea. And
no pressure.
Yeah, because I mean, how often do you go out and like get a banger every day? Like I often come home with nothing, but the challenge is going to be, can we get something that we're happy to just shoot with the RICOH? You're going to edit on yours?
Yes, so we will both edit mobile, I would say. You on your phone, and I will be using my GR, the RAW developer. And yeah, I'm excited to see how the GR performs just by itself. You're shooting RAW, so you have, I think, a slight advantage when it comes to sharpness. But I think the difference will not be that big. So
yeah, and it just goes to prove like how little you actually need just in your pocket every day to be able to produce something that's printed nice and big and hung on your wall that you could think of, if you do a really good job, as a piece of art. But you don't need a lot of gear and you don't need massive computers.
Good, yeah. So where are we going first?
I reckon into the city, yeah. If we go into the city, and then we might sort of stroll towards the West End later when the sun changes direction. See what we get.
Let's go!
That's not a bad start. Have a little cheeky peek. This area on the left in here is really cool because there's a lot of like sort of tall buildings which will cast, I mean, for the sort of photography I like doing, lots of tall buildings and architecture for shadows, and there's tons of kind of glass and metal as well, so you get really cool like reflections off stuff as well. That's the sort of thing I like. It's kind of a businessy district, so you're getting here around lunchtime and all the businessmen kind of going out for lunch is quite cool as well. Yeah, I mean, for that kind of thing, it's great. It does have like a one-note feel though. Like it's very kind of, it's very kind of clean, businessy.
Especially now in the morning time.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
many people.
So you're not going to get a ton of variety in terms of the people around. For that, you want to kind of head into like Shoreditch, East Side, or maybe West End or something. Get more kind of variety, but it's still pretty cool for what it is.
Here's a spot that no one has seen before. That's nice, looks cool. If I would shoot color then, it would be very, very cool. Yeah, it's boring.
So how do you deal with your settings? Like what's your kind of setup for using it?
It always changes quite a bit, but I'm usually on shutter priority. I like having control over the shutter speed, and then apertures, auto, and then ISO also auto. Then I just correct using the exposure compensation. Isn't it boring to talk about technical stuff? I feel like this is not interesting at all.
What's your favorite coffee?
What?
What's your favorite coffee?
I like a good cappuccino. I'm also a flat white fan. Lately I'm drinking more decaf because I can't stomach caffeine anymore that well. So now you know.
That's quite cool, that motion. And it's like she's really leaning forward, which is quite cool, out of that dark spot. I kind of like that. Just love the flow of that, isn't that cool?
Yeah, so Sean just showed me this spot here and didn't really know what to do, but then I found this little hole here. It does create like a nice frame. You can just easily put your camera in spaces where you wouldn't normally use a big camera, right? So yeah, just stick it wherever you want to stick it.
If I shoot this, I can remember to come back here because the light's really cool now. Like if I had time, which we don't because we've got to get that amazing shot. So like it might be worth hanging out here because if people come in and out of that door, you can imagine with that bit of like, it's almost like a beam of light on that door. If someone was coming out of that door, it's not a photograph on its own. I mean, it might look cool still, but I prefer a bit of movement or action to it.
What's about exposure here? You shoot manual?
Yeah, I always shoot manual just because like, I mean, we were talking about earlier, like I think a lot of people think that, you know, manual's a lot more of a hassle or whatever, but honestly I find it easier because I just start and I set my ISO, you know, here, so I'm setting it at 100, it's a sunny day and I'm exposing for the sun, so there's no reason to do anything different. And then all I'm doing is like scroll wheel at the front here is my aperture, so I'm going to set it always probably around f4 because I still want quite a fast shutter speed. People are walking and I want it really frozen, and then I'm just using that flick switch on the back, which is my shutter speed there, and then I'm using the live preview on here, so that's, you know, 1/2500th of a second. I can see it's too dark and I'm using the exposure preview and I'm doing it visually. Like this is the thing, is like people like to use the meter, so I've got the meter here, but if I dial this up, I'm exposed correctly there, and that's like under 2/3 exposed, but like I don't know if it needs to be under 2/3 exposed, but the only reason it's telling me that is because it's probably like some maybe center weighted metering or something, but there's more shadow in it, and I'd rather not use just an arbitrary number, and I'd use my eye, so that looks like my highlights aren't blown out, my shadows are nice and dark, that's where I need to be, and I've just flicked it like that, and then I'm ready to go. Now I can shoot forever because the light's not changing, so I don't need to worry about metering or exposure or whatever because it's ready to go. And I honestly find it faster to work like that, because you know when you use metering, I mean, highlight weighted metering this is pretty good, but honestly, like it's still, I just want control so it's set and I don't have to worry. And doing it this way just means I don't really have to think about it, you know. But if I move it slightly there, it's telling me, oh, it's maybe different. Over there, now it's getting darker, but I might want to shoot like that. So how would I know off the top of my head it's -1 2/3, or here it's -1 on the exposure? I don't know those numbers enough to know that's what it should be, but I can visually see it, and I prefer working visually rather than math, because I suck at math.
When we arrived here, just quickly snapped this, and I could have done it a little bit better, but I think it illustrates the point. Like it is, if I crop it, it would be very clean, right? But for me, it's not complex enough, you know? I want more layers. I want to be Alex Webb, but I can't.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. He has a helmet, and then we have this ball, and we still get the shoes here. Not so happy with this area, but I could probably crop that out a little bit. Maybe even like that, possibly. So yeah. If this would be just a regular dude, you know, it's not that interesting, right? But because he has a helmet, because you could now interpret this in many ways, right? He's protected. He has a vulnerable head. And then you have these big stones who could potentially crush his head, right? I mean, you can make up stuff like that.
And the hidden feet.
And the hidden feet, yeah. It's a nice bonus. This is the kind of stuff you cannot really do on a rangefinder, because I don't know if you can see it on my screen, but I'm almost touching the leaves. So I'm using that to block out some areas, to create some you know, interesting compositions and structure, and really be precise with my framing. You know, what I have in the frame and what I don't have in the frame. And I use rangefinders too, and they're great for, you know, catching moments, because you don't have any screen blackout, right? So that's great. And you use zone focusing most of the time anyways. but yeah, on a GR you can have, you know, multiple layers and do as precise as you want. It's actually a lot of fun. Also seeing the preview, like I'm shooting black and white, and I don't think my eyes can visualize what I'm seeing right now. I have to see the screen to actually see that there is some potential. Yeah, buy the GR, guys. Sell your RICOH. This is how you compose.
Be a cool shot, man.
Come on, come on. Yeah, this is the kind of place I usually shoot. I like to have, you know, lots of people crowded together. But today I have to do a little different approach because I can't show faces. I think I just have to see how I can work here. Now the light is nice, so maybe I can do something with the shadows. So even though I have a lot of light, I will raise the ISO to like 800, because then I can still be in shutter priority, have a 500th of a second, and now I'm at f10, which is perfect. I just need to focus, let's say 2 meters or 3 meters in front of me, and now everything is in focus. And while I'm holding down the shutter button, I'm locking the exposure, and I'm using the adjustment lever to control the brightness, like exposure compensation. So that way I can keep shooting and have the same lighting conditions. And actually the shadows of the people passing by are very nice. So I might be able to get some nice silhouette shots. Not that I didn't take any silhouette shots today already. But these are nicer.
There's no faces, that's the important thing.
No faces, yeah. Alright, we just finished shooting. We're in the park now. And how does a normal shooting day for you look like? Like today was pretty chill, but obviously shooting video.
It's always chill. I mean, we walk quite far, but I think I normally walk that far. So, I mean, for people who know London, we kind of did, where did we start? We started London Bridge, we walked around Borough Market, crossed over, walked through the city itself, and then we came back down to the Fleet Street and into the West End and round, and that's kind of normal. And then, I mean, today we had extra cameras to film with, but like this is normally all I take, really, is just the GR and a phone, and then that's everything. So I can shoot with this all day. This is in my pocket, and like now, I'll sit down. It might be at a coffee shop or in a park like now, and just transfer everything across Wi-Fi, and edit away. And like having something, I'm not like a trendy minimalist, but like having something so small for me is like so practical. Like how many times today were we in, you know, fancy office areas, and I know in those areas if I take like a camera with a longer lens or something, the security guards chase you off. But with this, because you look like, you know, a confused lost tourist, like they don't really care as much, and I can get shots that are pro level, like absolutely. I mean, we're going to print one, I hope. We're going to print, but we're going to print one just off something so tiny and editing on this, and I absolutely love that it's that simple. So yeah, I'll walk around 3, 4, 5 hours maybe, get as many shots as I can, sit down and just crack them up. Are you similar? Do you kind of?
Yeah, kind of similar. I always have my GR with me. Same reasons. It's just inconspicuous and.
Although.
Yeah, yeah. I mean.
Your bling ring, like.
For me, it's just I just want to stand out a little bit. You know, that's the only part you can customize. We can't put in some soft shutter releases.
A little, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean this is not as easy to get. It's not the official RICOH one. Yeah, it's just aesthetic reasons. And you know, people say the street edition, for example, is not really stealthy, but it's not supposed to be stealthy. It's inspired by the colors of the street. So I like this combination. And yeah, and then in terms of editing, I'm used to editing JPEGs on my phone. I don't use Lightroom as you, but when I'm home, I use Lightroom to do the final edit if it needs editing. Because most of the time, the JPEGs are what I'm going to post. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How often do you go to the raw files after the JPEG? How often do you need to?
I only do when I need the most dynamic range.
Right.
I need to bring down the highlights, for example, or shadows. Bring them up.
Yeah.
On JPEG, it's kind of embedded, so for that I use RAW, but on social media, no one really.
Plus the JPEGs out of these are really sharp. They're really, really sharp, so it doesn't really matter. As long as you expose correctly, you're home and dry. Yeah.
And that's why today I'm going to use only the GR to develop my photos. So I'm going to print a JPEG, and Sean, you will print a RAW.
Well, I'll print a JPEG, but I'm gonna edit the RAW. Yeah.
So I think that would be interesting to see, because mine will be one of the image profiles of the GR, and yours will probably be Adobe Color or custom.
Yeah.
So should we go into editing then?
Let's do it.
So I'm going to be editing probably the one I took at Oxford Street. We had some very nice flat light, harsh shadows, long shadows. And there was the scene of a group of people just standing and walking, and you see all these little legs and shoes. And then because of that harsh and low light, it created some nice lines. So I'm going to use that. And I shot this in monotone black and white. And then I go to the RAW developer. And I need to think how I'm going to edit this. It already looks good, so I don't know what I should do here. But just in case, under image control, I can fine tune it here. I might increase the contrast. Although I'm already happy, actually. Yeah, this would be interesting. Sharpness. Should I raise the sharpness for the print, or should I just leave it? Maybe I leave it at 0. And then what I can do here now, because it's still raw, I can use different color filters. So on default, I shoot with the yellow filter. But there's not much color in this frame. There's this little girl here, there's a little dress. That one is probably the only thing that is affected. Doesn't make a big difference, although the legs are brighter using the red filter. I think I'm going to stick, this does actually look good. Okay, I don't know what filter this is, but I'm going to use number 3. I might reduce the highlight contrast, because it's blowing out a little bit. And I might increase the shadow contrast, just to have a little bit more contrast in the shadow. And usually I'm not a fan of clarity, but in this case this might help a little, because the star of this photo is the shadow. And oh yeah, this does actually pop out the lines much more. No grain. The grain is not bad, but it's not film grain. Come on. Should film if you want film grain. So I'm going to leave it off. And that is all I would do just under image control. And what I sometimes do is at the end go to the overall sensitivity, so brightness, and see if I overexpose it a little bit or underexpose it, if that brings up some of the detail. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm just going to save it. So I press OK. It will now create a JPEG. And because I have on the right side, I have a few legs in the frame that I don't want, I'm going to crop it in camera. So just go back to all your editing features here, and then cropping. Yeah, let's see. I think this would be the crop. Yeah, a little bit more. I've just pressed OK, and now it's done.
Got it.
Just edit on your camera.
It's quicker, man. It's just quicker. Okay, so I'm going to edit this shot that's, I mean, it's a pretty basic shot. This was when you were shooting through holes. And it's just outside one of these, I don't even know what the name of the building is, but it's got this beautiful kind of lines on it. And the light was kind of coming at a diagonal. Just one guy standing there on his phone. And it's, I mean, honestly, this is one of those shots, and this is where this is the way I try and work with most shots, is just to keep it as simple as possible. If I can get it in camera, I will. So I usually start a tiny bit of clarity. Like, clarity is one of the things, if you overuse it, it looks horrendous straight away. And I think it's got to be black and white, really. So I'm just going to change it to black and white. I'm going to go over to my color mixer, which is going to give me the option to sort of fiddle with different colors underneath. So just selecting my orange, I'm going to boost it because there's some orange in that metal. Take the blues because there'll be blues in the shadows, and dial those down, cyans down, yellows up a little bit. And this is just like creating like custom contrast using the colors underneath the black and white, which is always quite nice. I'm going to come across to my exposure, bump my global exposure just a tiny bit, and just come down to my black point and just dial the black point in, because I want the left side and the bottom to be pretty much negative space. I mean, you can kind of see what's in there, but I'd like it to be sort of as dark as possible. And then just finish with curves, really. Just pick a point on my shadows here and dial it down. And this is just that final bit, just to sort of finesse the tones throughout. And I want to be careful I'm not kind of blowing my highlights there. His white shirt is pretty close to being blown, but it's not a problem. But you've still got all the detail in the siding and everything, and the pavement. Maybe just a tiny crop, I think. I mean, just to sort of tighten it up, but I really don't want to do much. Just sort of maybe putting that third there on that intersection, and I think that's pretty much done. So that's before, that's after. You can see I haven't done much. It didn't need much. It was all kind of there. Okay, maybe one thing I do is just to sort of deepen the edges, is just select a little selective edit here. So this is just a gradient, and I can pull the gradient in bottom left through this shadow, and then just come over to my exposure and dial the exposure down just a little bit, and then maybe create one more for this other shadow over here. Again, this is why Lightroom Mobile is so powerful, because you're getting most of the stuff that full-on Lightroom gives you. And the nice thing is, like, when I get home, these edits and these images are all in the cloud, so they're all on my computer. When I fire up Lightroom CC on my computer, they're all there as well. But I mean, this is fine, it's done, that's ready to print. I don't really need to do anything else with it. So one more time, that's before, that's after, good to go.
A banger.
A banger, a banger for the gram.
All right, that's the end. So I guess I send you the photo and you will do the printing.
Yeah, I'll shoot off to the print shop, and
Okay.
I'll pick them up in the morning and give
All
you a
right.
call, and we'll do the big reveal.
Cool,
No
yeah.
pressure.
Looking forward to that. So yeah, see you tomorrow then. Casey Neistat style.
Cheers, dude. Bye.
So we are back. It's the next day. We have the prints, and we are now having a look at our prints. So we are back. It's the next day, and we have our prints here, and we can finally see how our photos edited on your phone and on my GR look like printed. So
I haven't looked either, so this is going to be like the first
very,
time.
Very excited. What size is it?
A2.
A2.
So what's that? Like 16 by 24 inch, something like that?
It's pretty big.
Pretty big.
And what's the paper? Hahnemühle?
It is Hahnemühle Pearl, which I think is really, really nice for black and white prints. It's got like a little bit of a texture, but the blacks on it are really, really rich, so that's great.
So my guess is that yours will be tack sharp, like really sharp, and mine will be probably good enough.
I don't know, I hope so. Okay, so there we go.
Oh yeah, the black is nice.
Mine's on top. Look how sharp, man.
Wow,
That is razor sharp.
that's really sharp. You know what is a good paperweight?
Yeah?
A GR3.
So many uses. Okay, oh,
We need two.
there we go. Oh, that's really good. See what I mean? Like this paper, especially how the blacks come out. Like they're really, really rich. But you've got that like slightly orange peel texture to the paper, so it's got like a little bit of a texture to it. It's great for black and white. I love it.
It's crazy that this came out of your little phone
Yeah, I know.
using an app.
I mean, we did an exhibition of prints like in February this year, and we each had to select 5 of our favorite images. to put up on the wall, exactly the same size as this A2, so pretty big. And I only realized afterwards that 3 of them of my 5 were out of the GR3, and it was, I mean, there are such good like files to print. They're so sharp. And this isn't any, I haven't like, I mean, I did that tiny bit of clarity, but it's not like extra sharpened or anything, and it is razor sharp. I'm always so impressed.
I was a little scared first when you said, let's do A2 prints. I was like,
Yeah. But I mean,
is
look,
24 megapixels enough? But
I mean, even if you look in close, it absolutely holds up 100%. I mean, you can't ask for sharper than that. In fact, I mean, you're on the edge. I think you might want to dial sharpness back if you want a slightly more sort of filmic look. I think that's great. Should we look at yours?
Yeah, let's do that.
So, there we go. I mean, look at that already.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm gonna flip this underneath. There we go.
And mine is even
Look at
cropped. Yeah.
Look at look at the pavement and stuff. Look how sharp that is. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, I would totally be happy hanging that at an exhibition or But again, this is JPEG straight out of camera.
Yeah.
So if that would be a RAW file, then you get a little bit more of the details.
Yeah. But I mean, that's so impressive. I think that's what people don't get is you don't need, there's this sort of fallacy that to do big prints you need like, you know, thousands of megapixels, but you just don't. I mean, this is 24 megapixel in a point and shoot. Yeah. And it is more than enough. I'd be comfortable going A1 in this camera, even higher even, because I mean, look at this. I mean,
yeah, you can only see differences between my photo and yours if you really go this close. Right?
But even so, I mean, I look, if you compare that to some of the lines on this, I mean, I didn't crop mine, so that might be the only difference as well, is you're losing maybe a tiny bit. But I mean, to me, if you told me this was out of a big fancy mirrorless, like full frame, would you really know? I wouldn't. I wouldn't know at all. And that's like what amazes me, is that I can produce prints this big out of something that fits in my pocket. It's pretty nuts, you know?
Yeah. Cool, yeah. A little sad that we are giving this away.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to win one of these prints, we're actually giving it away, and we are going to sign them. Oh, did you bring a pen?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So if you want to get one of these prints, let us know in the comment section. First of all, subscribe to this channel, but then let us know in the comment section which one do you want. Just type in our name, Sean or Sam.
RICOH also doing a nice little thing as well on top of this video. If you want one of your prints or one of your images printed nice and big, if you subscribe to their Instagram, which we'll stick down the bottom in text, and then just use the hashtag grphotoprint with your images, something you'd like printed nice and big, they're going to select a few winners as well. And all that before, I think, the 30th of November?
Yeah, deadline is the 30th of November.
So yeah, you could have nice prints of your images, or you could have one of these.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more GR content. We also have a Discord server, link in the description if you want to meet other GR users. And any last words from you? Otherwise I will sign off.
Sign off.
Okay, see you next time. Cheers, mate!
Nice London ending, I like it.